really, really cool. So now that we have done all these changes, we have a nice looking Blazor app and we have the card component displayed nicely for us. We do have some issues. We don't have an image and we do have a really boring looking date. So what can we do with that? Well, remember this is coming directly from our API. So in order to fix that, we need to go to our API. Here we are back in our API. And here we have all our folders. We have the controller, we have our models, and we do have our services. Remember in our models, we do have this model and we do have these properties. These properties is an ID, a title, content, an author, and a date. And where are we using it? Well, to check that, we can go to our usages and take a look at where we are actually using it. So you can see news article service, get news articles. Here we are doing something. So remember that this is more a video in terms of API development, backend development, C# development, not just how much the application should look like, but I tried to make up for that as well. So in our news article service, we do have a method called get news articles. As you remember from our last video, we have programmed this together and we are newing up our news articles. Inside of here, for example, we do have ID equal to 1 and we do have a title. To set the date, all we need to do is to take the date property and actually use it. And then we can do datetime.now and it will use the same date that is right now. And we could also say date down here and say that it's equal to date time and then dot and then today, for example. And then we can do add days and say -3 to say that this is 3 days ago. Right, so now we have ID1, ID2, and a different date. Cool. But we need some more, we need some content. And we can see if GitHub Copilot can help us a bit. Okay, so this is the first news article. I think that's a bit boring. So let's try to ask Copilot to help us even more. I'm not sure if this will work. Please give us some interesting content about a car accident. So let's see how smart Copilot is. Nothing happens. Let's try it inside of here instead. Nothing happens. Do it again. Yeah, now I can see that happened in the city of New York. Okay, so car accident in New York, news article. I'm not sure if it knows that it actually wants to have it inside of the content. I think that's what it's struggling with a bit now. Let's see again. No. So let's make up for it ourselves. We'll do that by going to Chrome here, do a new window, and then just say BBC News and take a look at the crazy news in the world. So for instance, we do have one about the who started it, Putin defense strikes. So we could use, for example, something like the content will be the big one, but here's a good example. Iran carries out first execution of protest. So if we copy this Mohsen Shekari was convinced, we're actually not allowed to copy it, so we have to make up for it ourselves. So what I'm trying to find now is the Mohsen content. Here it is. So we can copy this and then we can put it exactly in here. So now we do have a nice, I would not say content here, because as I'm coding alone, I'm starting to see that we need something called the summary. So let's add that as well. So inside of here, we can say prop string and then give it a small summary. So let's change the content to be summary. Okay, that's good. So now we do have Mohsen Shekari was convicted of enmity against God after an activist called something. Okay, so if we go back here, we can now use the title. Iran carries out something. See if we can find it. Okay, we can go inside of it. We can copy the whole thing. And the title will, instead of being first news article, we will actually have it to be Mohsen Shekari, Iran carries out first execution over the protest, just like that. And then we will make up for it like this. To remove this Mohsen Shekari or whatever, and that's it. The date here is 4 hours ago, so we will just keep it like it is for now. The summary would be the one we actually copied, which we have here, and the content will be all of this stuff. So let's copy it. So the content will be the content of the news article, just like this. But we had some issues. So let's try it again. See, escape past text, yes. Okay. So now we have escaped the text, so meaning the content is set it up. Let's just do some of it. Like here, that's enough content for us. And let's add it. So we do have some small issues. You can see that it doesn't know that this is actually inside of it, so it should be an escape string like we have over here. But I know that C# have added another feature that we could use to make this work. But then we need to use C# version 10 or 11, and we are on 11. So this is actually a great way now to start investigating on this new feature. So let's use it. So I did find it, and what we do need to only do is just to add long message and have this here. So let's see if it also works inside of a property. We will find out. So let's just go up in some places. We can do it, for example, in the start of the method. Okay, so we have something called long message. What I would like to have in the long message is the news article that we are interested in. So let's take this content here, put it inside of here, try it out. Okay, it seems to work, just a bit red. Line does not start with the same white space as the closing. Replace the control character at position. I think it looks pretty good. I think it's only something that asks us about it because we're using something called SonarLint, and it's just a weird error. So we can just make it go away to make it smaller. See now GitHub Copilot is working. So just ignore this for now. But you have the long message here. It seems to work fine. So we can add stuff in there. And I'm wondering now if it would work in a property as well. So let's just try it out. So to add these three things and add it also down here. I don't think it would work that way. Let's just try it for fun. So didn't work the same way here. But what we can do now is to get rid of the content down here and just go to the long message instead. And that should work. So let's see if that works. But what do we miss? Well, we need actually to have an image. So let's add a property, call it string, and just say image, oops, and then just say image path, like that. And what we can do now is to, instead of having only this, we can add an image path. We could also say image URL, just like Copilot is trying to suggest here, because you can argue and say that if you use this on a server, then it could be an image path, but if it's just an URL from the internet, then we could go with the URL. So it's a great suggestion. We would like the image that we have actually here. So let's copy the image And let's just paste it inside of the Iran no you. Okay, so we need to paste the image in here actually. Basically like that, comma there. And we do need to do exactly the same thing for this image, this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but it's an image. And we will do the same thing here. So let's remove this and then add it here. Just like, again, copy, just like that. And there we have it. There we have the image. And what have we done now? Well, we have modified our news article service to actually add some more data to our news article list. And now we have 2 items in the list. We don't not only have one. I will later show you how we can mock these items by making it a bit better, so we don't have to type everything. But what we have done is that we have a bit more interesting data to work with. So if we now start the application, let's just kill it and start it again. Not like that, but like this. See, it's running. And our Blazor app should also now be working the same thing. So let's start up our Blazor app as well. Let's do it again. Start it up. And now we should have some different things in our Blazor app. We will not have the image there yet because we have only added it in the backend. But you can see that we have more text here. We have a different title. Iran carries out the first execution of our protests, and Schengen, no EU border-free zone for Romania and Bulgaria. We do have a summary and we do have content. Let's just see if the summary makes sense with the way we have set it up. The summary here is not being displayed, we are displaying the content. That's why it's so long. So let's change that to, instead of displaying the content, actually displaying the summary. Oh, we have a problem. You see, we don't have the summary because we are using the same model that we have here, but we are not sharing the data because this model lives in another class library than the other model. So what can we do? We can basically just copy all of this because we know it's the same with 2 different properties, and we can just add it inside of here. I'll show you another way to share this data between each other, but it's actually not necessarily. It's really useful or really common to just copy the data from each other and share them and use the same data. But you could, if you wanted to make this a NuGet package and use the same data from there. There are multiple ways to come to it. Okay, so now we do have the news article set it up more with more properties. So we should be able to get the summary. And this should just work right out of the box because we are parsing, remember, we're parsing news article. And now news article contains more properties. So it should also parse the summary as well as the image URL. Cool. So now we are displaying the summary, the title, but we are not displaying the image. We will see why. So let's just start it again and see if the summary works. Maybe you can spot out why we are not displaying the image. Look at the 3 dots here, that's a hint. Okay, so now we do have a better summary. The Schengen has no summary, and that's an issue. So we need to take a look at why. Now we see why. It's because the API here only have a summary here, but not here. So let's actually add the summary here as well. And we can do that by going to our browser and actually add the data that we had for this Musen Sakari and this Schengen. So let's add the Schengen data that we have over, where is the Schengen? I think it's here. Let's just do it here. And then copy this data, EU ministers, this one. This is the summary. Let's add it here. Let's restart the app again. And when we do restart here, it should be quickly up and running, and now it's gone. And now when we restart, actually we don't even need to restart, we can just open the API again, open it, and you can see now it has fetched the data correctly without restarting the Blazor app. Okay, so did you spot out the mistake? Here's the problem. So let's just add at, and then news, article, and then dot image URL. And take a look what we do have now. So we have everything set it up correctly, but the image is not displaying. Why, you might ask? Let's debug it. Let's go to F12. Do settings here for F12. Let's take a look at the data we're getting back. And let's see if we can actually see some data coming from our network by fetching it again. Okay, so you see it says news article down here. And we can preview it. We do have a 0 here and 1. We have an image URL, but nothing is working. Do you see the problem? I see the problem. So let's try to see if this works. That works. But it looks like it will not be displayed whenever we have the WebP there. So let's just try to remove the WebP. Or actually, the issue here is not about the WebP after all. We just have to restart the app. Sometimes the easiest thing needs to be done first. So let's again take a look. Remove this, and here we should have the data. So here we can see we have a news article app starting to look like it. We have welcome to your new app. We do have the article coming from the BBC. We have the title from BBC, and we do have the summary. We also have the data or the date, and we have the same thing for this news article. But we have no way to click on it. Okay, so that's something I can show you in another video. But in the next video, I want to make the API a little more sophisticated. Great job, guys.